Hey guys, Chris here from LearnTech. We are an e-learning solution company based in Johannesburg, South Africa. Today, I'm going to be talking about virtual instructor-led training, or VILT, or VILT. What is it? Why is it awesome? And some things to consider. And as always, I'll give you a practical example of how to use this kind of functionality using our own Phoenix Learner Management System. But before we begin, we upload regular e-learning tips and tricks to our YouTube channel. So if that's up your alley, please click the subscribe button and the little bell icon to make sure that you never miss anything. So what is VILT, or Virtual Instructor-Led Training, or VILT? Well, Virtual Instructor-Led Training is a live learning session conducted in a virtual classroom. Similar to a virtual meeting like Zoom, but more structured and allowing you to deliver training to your remote workforce entirely in the cloud. Though online, learners can still benefit from a hands-on learning experience that improves knowledge retention. And once you're familiar with the technology, virtual instructor-led training will be easier, cheaper, and as effective as traditional in-class training. It's the perfect way to teach your remote employees in a world of social distancing and COVID restrictions. As with e-learning, there are no costs associated with venue hire, lunches, snacks, coffees, and manual printouts. But unlike e-learning, which takes a bit of time and money initially to develop, virtual ILT gives you the ability to deliver your current instructor-led training almost immediately. So, let's take a look at some of the steps. Step 1, as always, is to define your objectives. If you have existing learning material, it's probably a good idea to make sure that your existing content is still relevant and meets the needs of your learning objectives. A little tweaking may be required here and there. Next up is course length. Now, it's not easy to hold people's attention in a virtual environment for very long. So try and keep your VILT sessions under an hour and a half, maximum 2 hours. This may mean breaking up your one-day course into smaller daily chunks. If you have some budget, you may consider converting some of your more contextual material into e-learning so that may be completed by your learners prior to accessing your VILT session. The next thing to consider is class size. While VILT is a great cost-saving endeavor because you no longer need to hire venues, that also means no venue limitations in terms of the number of learners you can access your training. But that doesn't mean that just because you can have hundreds of learners inside your training session that you should. Think about it. Let's say you have 100 participants in a specific session, and a quarter of these learners have a question. Well, it's easy to see how that could slow things up. Now, if you're using a learner management system, like ours, you could add a forum to the course so that learners can post questions and assist each other, as well as you being able to assist them or a facilitator, provided you're happy to moderate a course forum. Or you could just have smaller class sizes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Next up is to develop your content. As with regular instructor-led training, there is nothing worse than endless text-filled PowerPoint slides. So learn to use fonts and images to make your presentations more enjoyable to look at. Look for relevant and engaging YouTube videos or animations that will get your point across and that are engaging for your users, and use that throughout the training session. Utilize polls or surveys and chat functionality to ask learners questions throughout. This makes the course more interactive and, of course, keeps learners engaged as well. You may want to have an assistant join you to assist with polls and chats and private chats and messaging while you're running your VILT session. Many virtual classrooms allow you to create breakout rooms so that you can do group work and allow your learners to then present their work back to the classroom. So utilize this functionality as you would in a real classroom setting. Don't forget to utilize polls and surveys and asking questions throughout. And take time to investigate what's possible with your tool. If you're not sure, speak to your service provider or us. Automate your testing and the gathering of feedback. If you're using an LMS to run your virtual ILT session, then it's a no-brainer to use your existing learning object functionality to create and automate the collection of survey results, as well as assessment scoring and the issuing of a completion certificate or a certificate of completion. And as always, I like to put my money where my mouth is. So let's have a look at how I set up a virtual ILT session in Phoenix Learner Management System. To the demo cam.
To the demo cam.
Okay, I've set up my course shell. Let me enter the access area here. And what I've done is I've created a custom menu for my learners. And the only sections I'm going to want here is the virtual classroom area. We can see there's currently no rooms available at the moment, which we're going to create. What I've also done is I've created a resources and assessment area. And in here, what I've done is I've got a copy of the learner guide, which the learners can then download. I've got the final assessment, which I have set as the final score. So on completion of this assessment, the score for this particular learning object will be the score that's sent through to the back end of the learner management system for reporting. And I've also got a survey so that I can collect anonymous feedback from my learners, either for the class or the facilitator or both. All right, so let's go back to the virtual classroom and we'll do our set up our rooms. So if you have a couple of days, if you're going to be running this assessment over a couple of days, say 3 days, it is possible to create all of your rooms up front. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a room right now, and we're going to call this session 1. You'll choose the start date, so the date of your session, the starting hour, the number of hours or the meeting duration, and the maximum number of users allowed within the session. Once we've set all that up, we create. Okay, so here is our virtual classroom, and because we are super administrator, what we can do is we can click the enter button in. Okay. All right, so we're now inside of the virtual classroom. Let's I'll give you a bit of a tour here. So over here we can see we've got our default document, which is the window that the learners can see. At the bottom here I can either choose to share my computer screen, or what I can do is I can share my webcam if I want to speak directly to my learners. What I can also do is I can start a survey or a poll to make the course more interactive. I can upload a presentation, or I can share a relevant YouTube video if I have the URL. And we can toggle between all three. So we can have a PowerPoint presentation going, we can have a video on the ready, and we can have our screen, our webcam, so that we can talk directly to our learners, and we can toggle between the three as we're going along. On the right hand, we've got some annotation or whiteboard tools. So for example, if we chose the pencil, and I could choose my color, and what we could do is we could highlight important information. This is important, and we can delete it as well. On the left here we have a public chat, so that we can send messages to all of our learners who are on the current course. But we can also send private chats as well. On the left hand, we'll see all users who are currently in this particular session. We only have one, which is ourselves at the moment, but obviously as people log in, their names will appear on the left hand side here. And if you click on the name here, there's a couple things that you can do. We can set a status. So as a learner, what I can do is, let's say if I want to go to the bathroom, instead of telling everyone, hey, listen, I need to go to the bathroom, what I can do is I can quickly set my status to away. A little notification appears on the top right hand here, and the facilitator will then be able to notice this little icon. Similarly, if your learner has a question, what you could do is you could set your status to raise hand. The facilitator will then see that icon, they'll see the notification, and they'll be able to then hand the microphone over to you or send you a private chat to ask you what your query is specifically. So there you have it. A great way to deliver your existing training material online with a low budget. Both of which are especially important during a pandemic. I'd love to hear from you, so if you have any questions or would like to share your VILT experiences, please leave a comment down below. If you need any help finding the right tools, such as learner management systems or virtual classrooms, please head over to www.learntech.co.za and arrange a consultation with me. It's kind of our thing. Thanks for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Until next time. Bye-bye.